talked about your roots, about roots and culture and history, but there's also a tradition in Sejny of theater practices that goes back. And I wonder if you can just say a little bit about the Gajdanice and moving from what was really a move away from the theater into para-theatrical experience, into performance as such without formal. And with Medea, you seem to be kind of coming around back to theater.
Inspiration by theater. Playwright.
Thank you for these questions. First is, yes, the generation aspect of Sejny Chronicles is that the stories came from old people of the community, and it's still ongoing process that new generations are exploring and asking grandparents, to share the stories, and so the story is extending, it's longer and longer. But the important aspect of that is that the old generation, they are kind of tutors for the younger. So there is the moment after 5-6 years working together in one group of Sejny Chronicles that they invite the younger generation, and there is time together when they share and transmit the knowledge, the characters to the youngsters, being the teachers, mentors, and so on for certain period. But these youngsters had this request also to get new stories, their own stories, and so on. So that's how it's going. And in the community, the very interesting theatrical aspect of that is that the audience knows the story, and each time they are coming, they are very excited who will be new Rachela, new character, new guy in the wedding, and so on. So I think this is something about the ancient theater too, that something what we lost, that it's not about telling all the time new stories and concept, but it's something about incarnations of what is the same or common, yes, and known. And of course, with Medea, somehow I've never brought with theater, so theater was always part of the Borderland center work. What happened was that we were at this first situation, we started our conversation here, we had very bad feeling being on the stage in front of the people of the community. You have this situation of theater coming, and you are somehow telling something to the people, but in fact, you want them to speak to you. Yes, because they are experts, they are knowledgeable people about the context, history, and everything. So you pretend to tell something as a theater group, but in fact at that time our dream was to deconstruct the stage and to make people talking also and sharing situation. And that's how after years we try to somehow use this richness of what we build together with people, and to more and more engage them in the common storytelling. So comparing to Sejny Chronicles in Medea, they will be much more part of the story and much more co-creators of that. Not like before that they share their own stories, but that they will work on different aspects of the story, which we will incorporate to the final product, let's say. So, for example, the work we do now, one of the studios is, we work with a church choir, with all people who will be like a choir in this story, and having years of work with them, we think to make them the part of the story. So I don't know how we will end up with all, but this is exactly the moment how I can share you our explorations today.
I just cannot help but I have to say, ask something quickly. Did you know when you were starting Sailing Chronicle, and this is after Andrzej and your answer, after starting Sailing Chronicle, that what will emerge out of it would be very much like what Athenians saw every year when they were coming every year and seeing another version by another person, another story, another myth enacted of Oedipus the king, for example, right? They all knew those stories. So it is like your people insane, they know those stories. They kind of know it better and better, and every year they go through it. They're kind of cathartic, healing, thinking, reflecting, a layer of that. It's incredible, the richness of that, the possibility that it carries with itself, yeah?
Elżbieta, there are two very important levels in what you said. One is that you know the story. So I remember the first reaction of people to the Sailing Chronicles was, yes, he's telling truth. Yes, we know it. It is how it was, yes? But now, there is a second dimension. They know, not only because they know the story, but they know also because they know if we are lying as actors and performers or not, if we are authentic as artists or not. This is something amazing, what we achieved after 25 years living there.
Coming back to theater.
Exactly. I remember one of my crucial experience from time I worked with Gardzinice. We had a wonderful flamenco singer, Paco Mayano, a child of God, who was traveling all around the world, having concert of flamenco. And he invited me once to come with him to his village in Andalusia. And in the evening, he was invited to sing in taverna. And I saw him trembling. And I asked, Paco, these are your people. Yes, what you are afraid of? And he said,
that's exactly what I'm afraid of, yeah?
Say no. I remember, of course, what it means. In Warsaw, we can applaud him, but we don't know how much he is truthful or not. But these local people, they know what flamenco is and what happened with this guy who went to the world, yes, and what is behind him. This knowledge is of art. It's not only of artistic skills. It's much deeper with all context. So to have an eye of people who know you in all these deepest contexts, I think is the biggest treasure we have from the local people. Yeah.
Yes, Elizabeth. You should talk later, yes, but go ahead. Elizabeth, come. I'm just introducing because I know that somebody is recording here. Yes.
So go,
I'm
say.
Elizabeth Kendall from Lang College. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
The Sene Chronicles is based in the place where they are performed, where they were made and where they are performed, and the material comes from the place. The Medea Chronicles comes from another place. And the placeness, therefore, is part of my question. And also you mentioned friends from Tbilisi
Yes.
who have worked with you, or have they come to talk about their place? I don't think there is a sea in the middle of Sene where you can sail.
From which Argonauts could go,
Yes.
yes.
Yeah, so could you talk about the place dimension a little?
Right. I'm touching every ground, yes, of this work. Of course, space is so crucial for this work. And we did, expeditions to Kolchis, last year, visiting all these Poti, Bani, and other places. And we had friends from Georgia working with us on this program. And this summer we will have 2 months of incarnations of Medea. We invite philosophers, performers, writers, artists to share the Medea stories in different languages and forms. Because this is also what is part of the work of these works that you see it as many incarnations, many faces of that, and it's another level you work with this work. It makes you part of the community also, and so on. But the question about the very place is crucial, of course. Sejny was the very place for Sejny Chronicles as a small town. And now we have another space for our work. Since few years we revitalize Czesław Milosz family manor house near Sejny, just on the border with Lithuania, in a very nature, on the lake, within an incredible natural space around, surrounded by different villages.
We know it well from the poetry.
Yes, yes. And we are surrounded by agricultural people, by people who cultivate earth. That's the neighbors we have, and that's mostly people who will be part of the story. In fact, they children themselves.
People who work with the soil.
Yes. And so this becoming slowly our own cultures. Yeah, this environment, having different studios I mentioned to you. So working on different crafts with this, ancient sounds, like sutartinies with Lithuanian people, or we are working on the birds. We have the whole ornithological studio working on the sounds and meanings, symbolic meanings of the birds from. So we are doing with children Atlas of Krasnogruda, Bird Atlas, and so all these, I don't know. But it happens, all this natural pharmacy, yes, which is also from the villages around. So everything what happens is from that ground, and of course the question is, could we have this community? Because it's kind of a community building. Yeah, this story is like in some way Sejny was for Sejny. This is another kind of community building. That you ask about Golden Fleece in metaphorical sense as what we share together. Yes, what is our story?
What are our wounds?
Yes, and I don't say that we will use Euripides' words. We probably will write our own story after all these studios. So we will have our own script of that, but but we somehow it will refer to this ancient Medea Argonaut myth.
Krzysztof, Cecilia Rubino from
Yes.
Lang.
Oh, hello. Do you remember? Yeah.
It's so wonderful to see you. I missed going out to Newark, and I have a question.
She teaches theater at Lang, just
I
for
had
those
the
of you who
privilege
do
of
not know,
having
and they had that
Krzysztof
workshop
come
together.
and teach a workshop to my Lang College students a couple of years ago, and have them come and see the Sejny Chronicles, which was at La Mama. I'm struck by your Medea story, and Medeas with an S on the end, like Steiner's Antigones, right? But it's so sprawling and so huge. So in the Sejny Chronicles, which is a piece which is about an hour and a half long, it's structured so simply. It's you literally have a set. There are houses on the set. The children come and pick up a house, and the story follows from there. And then they come into the audience with secrets at the end and speak to individual audience members, which is quite astonishing. How, if you envision the Medea piece being 2 or 3 days long, much like a Greek festival, how are you structuring it, not just with place, but with, how does it tie together, or does it yet tie together?
Not yet.
Okay.
So it's we are at the very beginning of that stage. I can share with you some intuitions I have, but it's in the process very much today. But something what was at the beginning, at the ground, and it was a common understanding with whole team of the Borderland, was that we need a new form for that. Yes, it's very special because Czesław Miłosz, our mentor, was always dreaming about something what he was called forma bardziej pojemna.
The form much more
Continuous.
Yay! Yes, capacious form, right? Something which could be a
So he tried to, to structure the poetry book, including correspondence, citation, quotations, part of life, poems together, finding, something what is more contagious, yes, and the same. We are exactly at the same challenge now, that we feel that it's too narrow what we had till now. We don't know toward what we will go. For example, but we have some experience, and for example, one is that we want to incorporate that the night time. That's how we work with children, for example. And when Bożena is taking kids for workshop, she always thinks about having them over the night, taking from homes, guests from hotels, and spending night together, and it makes another energy of the work. So, among other things, we have this intuition that you should be also invited for spending night, as a part of this story. We are now thinking about, usually you are coming to us and we are offering small hotel or maybe the apartment in our neighbors, yes. This moment that you are, putting your luggage and having your stay. But this could be something more, these people who will host you could be already part of the story from the very beginning. And it's that's how we slowly try to put it in one dramatic structure, but using rather natural elements which will appear during this work.
In the Woods with Krzysztof. My second question is about the Senjei Chronicles. When we had dialogued a couple of years ago, you had talked about taking the way of story making into other communities. And have you been doing that? And what are the results, the theatrical results or other results of that?
Just referring to Grotowski first, you are absolutely right that this is the tradition, yes, but at the same time, Grotowski never did it with the local community. It was always people coming from abroad to a special place.
Or he went to Africa, or he went to India, right? Yeah, somewhere else, yeah.
The nature was, but there was no people living around, yes, so that's what we try to explore, and it will change everything. Of course, it's already changing everything, and the same is with exploring these stories. So that's because, of course, the question is how to travel, because we are travelers and we are people to share, to build bridges. We had the way we traveled with Scenic Chronicles, always with workshops, with work in local community. Now we have this idea of focusing our work in travel around the bridge building. So the thing we have in mind is that if we will travel with this story, even here to New York, we should somehow manage to build a bridge here with people living here, yeah, and to leave it as something that will remind and work after the common time we have. So that's what I can envision, traveling with to Bosnia or to Bhutan, where we work, and always the feeling was I'm living, and the dream was that almost we built the bridge, but it was so would be nice to have it as a installation in public space which will remind us the work and serve for the continuation of something what we can build around this bridge as a meeting place and other things, and as a legitimacy of community, because we understand that if we will build the bridge in the community, it challenges the community. We want to be a bridge community then, yes? So you should prove somehow that this bridge is part of your life somehow.
I insist on capilla, bridge with capilla.
Yeah.
But that's a different story. Yeah, Monica.
I guess that the only place that you don't want to go is Venice. But you almost answered the question that I wanted to ask, but I still wanted to provoke you. You had a million of conversations. We had a million of conversations before on my struggles against festivalization of culture as I called it, and your struggle for deep culture, as you now coined it. And I understand you defined it through the notion of time and place. Actually, probably also by one old character, as I guess you could evolve. But as I listen to you now and here, I can't forget we're in New York, and I wanted you to comment on the utopia that you can develop so freely in a small village, as opposed to not even a big city like New York, but facing the time of the greatest migration in the history of humanity that we are about to live, meaning the huge migration that is happening now to the cities, and that is happening all over the globe with small communities completely forgetting their local immersion. So it's a provocation, it's a long question, but maybe you can comment on that.
Of course, there's a huge difference between small town and metropolis, and work you can do with huge communities. But the fact is that we are very much invited to work and cooperate with big cities, in fact, with our work. And you know it better than me that big cities now are constellations of small cities, yes, of small towns, and how to revitalize or build a vital big city through small cities, small communities. You can't do it as a grand number. I believe only in small numbers, and it could be as well in big city as in a small one. Also, the context, of course, is sometimes is very different because of immigration, for example, yes, and because of people who were living for centuries in one place, and people who are just newcomers or new migrants, and so on. So how to build the bridges in these different contexts is a huge question, but I very much believe that you can't bring bridge with yourself, of course. The whole art is how to explore local material to build the bridge, but some craft needed for that is common. It's universal, and the way how we can find the way of understanding in different parts of the world with this work and with this kind of deep culture concept is another important story. As you know, I have experience in working in big cities in Poland. I was engaged in the project we have in Europe, which we call European Capital of Culture.
In Wrocław?
And I believed very much in that concept because I thought that this is the way how you can engage the whole community, the whole city around one program, yes, ambitious program. And I have bad and good experiences of that. Very good experience with Lublin, the eastern city of Poland, where I was artistic director of this program. More complex experience with actual capital of culture in Wrocław. I was also artistic director then, but I had to resign. It was my personal decision, understanding that this is premature, maybe time for deep culture. With deep culture, the stories when during the competition, during planning and having ambitious ideas, it's very good. But when the title is won, then another story comes with politicians, with promotion, with everything around that. so I prefer to resign, saying also something through this resignation. But I have really many partners and people who are on the board of deep cultures, so who are understanding, because I think that we should understand also situation not only from artistic point of view. We were discussing about this from artistic dimension, but it's also I would say social dimension of that. That I very much believe that something would happen. What is happening now in Brazil, for example, when citizens protest against Mundial in Brazil because loving soccer, but understanding that they should spend public money more for education, social health, than this huge event is very significant for our time. And we will face the same with culture, I believe. That we spend so much public money for wasted, fireworks and other things, not understanding really the work we should do with in our communities and so on. That could be a kind of a new counterculture process we should face, and I would be very much for deep culture as a counterculture, not in terms of saying that this is bad, like in a very strict way. Deep culture is rather to embrace, to build something common than to divide. But my deep feeling is that we will face very soon in culture this riot of a new counterculture.
So let me finish with, this is going to be a very amateurish translation of the piece that I got from Krzysztof on the Agon of the Borderlands, because that will bring us a little bit closer to things social. The borderlands of the foreign, of the stranger, of the different, and of ours, is the territory of Agon, where the human being, where the person is fighting for its own name, where he or she is rereading her or his life, and it becomes what he or she actually is. Agon embraces everything which was not given to us, and which was not constituted or made for us, but what is our own achievement or defeat, our own transgression, or our own zaniechanie, Andrzej, our own neglect. I want to thank you. This is for me and for Jeff. We want to thank you very much for coming. This is a very special day, as I told you, because this is where an amazing new project of the New School, which is called Public Seminar, is actually exploring the possibilities of building bridges with tcds and other places. So I would like to invite you to stay with us. This is the second part of the evening. It's an open house, and it's a famous pierogi party, and people who had class up to now are going to come here very soon and join us, and Krzysztof promised that he will stay with us longer. So thank you very much.